Thanks for joining today. I know it's a Sunday evening. What we generally prefer is a Saturday evening, but due to various reasons, we pushed it. I know most of you would know yesterday was Fiesta at the college. So that is one of the reasons why we pushed the date by one, like say further. So Unnathi, the session, whatever we have started from the last month, it's a new initiative by the UVCE Graduates Association. The idea is to kind of give as much as possible exposure to both the students and the recent alumni, the alumni as such, so that they can interact about the higher studies opportunities, basically. The last month, what we did was the MS opportunities in US. That was the topic that we did last month, and we had a pretty good audience even then. You can check it out in the YouTube. What Chitra and Kaushik from two different batches had shared their experience. So continuing that, what we thought was the idea is to have a wide variety of speakers and as much as possible give exposure to the different opportunities. So today, like say, what we wanted to discuss was the MBA degree, management part at IIMs, specifically at IIMs, because many of the students or many of the alumni whom we spoke to, they were like say very specific kind of a thing. So we will talk about other colleges and other opportunities, but today the focus will be about MBA at IIM. And to speak about that, we have like say around two alumni with us today. Jayashree, who is from 2010 electrical batch, and she completed her MBA from IIM Bangalore in 2021. She is currently the senior program manager at Microsoft. She has work experience at Ericsson and Unilever and other companies. I will ask her to introduce and share her initial thoughts with us anyways. So welcome Jayashree, first of all. And then we have Nagadarshini. Yeah. Then we have Nagadarshini with us, who is from 2013 batch from UVCE from electronics. She completed her IIM from Indore in 2018, and she is currently with Shell as a information and digital technical advisor for the customer operations. She was earlier with a couple of companies, including Mu Sigma. So again, I will ask her also to introduce. So welcome, Nagadarshini. Thanks for joining with us today. Hopefully, like say, it will be a good interactive session. The flow, I'll just set the flow tone to everyone so that they know. Initially, we'll ask both the speakers to introduce and share their initial thoughts with us. Then we have few questions that we have taken during the registration. There were some overlapping questions and etc., which we will kind of ask the speakers and ask their thoughts about that. And then we will open it up for all of you to ask any specific questions or etc. So that is the flow that we will be following today or even in the coming days. Okay. So what I will do is first I'll request Jayashree to go ahead and share her insights.
Yeah, sure, Satish. Thank you. Hello, good evening, all. I know it's a Sunday evening. I don't want to bore you guys with more details. But yes, as Satish mentioned, I'm Jayashree and I've passed out from UVC Electrical Batch in 2010. And after solid 9 years, I decided to do my MBA. And then I picked it up from IIM Bangalore. And yeah, of course, I've gone through all the struggles of CAT, PAT, sab kuch after 9 years of a break. With work-wise, but I did continue to work right from UVC. So I was placed in Wipro, and then I started my journey in Wipro. And then gradually I shifted to a lot of companies and transformed my career from in software engineer to a product manager today. So currently I work with Microsoft as a senior product manager for all order to cash products for the globe. So that's a short intro about me. Hope to discuss more and I'll try to answer as many questions as possible with you guys today.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jay. Nagadarshini, you can go.
And hi guys. So yeah, like Satya said, I completed my electronics engineering from UVCE, graduated in 2013. We started with IBM campus placement, and then I went on to two more companies in 3 years. And so I started as a .NET developer, went on to do some machine learning and AI development as well. After which I moved on to Indore for my master's, and so I interned with Shell there, and I got a pre-placement offer. And since then, I've been with Shell. I've completed about 3 different roles in Shell. So yeah, currently I'm working as an IT advisor, managing the customer operations portfolio.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thanks, Nagadarshini. So what we'll do is, like, say, maybe you can share initially, Nagadarshini, about, like, say, why did you think of the MBA and what was the process? And maybe some experience at the college also. You can take, like, say, 5-10 minutes initially. Then we will move on to Jayashree.
Okay, so first thing is MBA. I mean, yeah, I just knew it's a management degree. I didn't really know what happens in there. But when I started working, so you get to know that there is a decision-making process that happens, and which then trickles down to the engineering department. So before you gather your requirements or you start the coding, you know there is somebody who is making the decision based on a lot of different factors. So maybe somewhere I wanted to know how that decision-making process happens, or who, like, how to get into that track. So that was one of my thoughts when I moved to management. But yeah, it's not just limited to that, as what I found out after I joined the college. There are a lot more track, and there are a lot of other things that actually happen. So yeah, I went in with a very naive idea, to be like, to be open or candid about it. When I joined, I was sort of clueless. So I was not even sure how to choose the colleges, or like started a very rough journey. And then, but yeah, it kind of, helps to like take that path and just see what are the options out there. And slowly you realize it's not just one track, but even after your MBA, you can have multiple different roles that you could get into, or multiple industries that you could get into. And there are a lot of opportunities that come your way. You want to continue with your coding, you have opportunities for that. You want to leave coding and completely move into a different track, there is opportunities for that. So that's like, you'll discover that as you go into the college, is what I felt. But yeah, I think we might be able to help you a little bit more in that aspect as well. So yeah, that was sort of how I started. So with very minimal idea, and yeah, I think it turned out well for me. So yeah, I mean, if there are any specific things that you want me to talk about, I can elaborate. But this was the kind of thing that I had in my mind starting the MBA program.
Okay, sure. So, we will specifically come to that, no problem. So Jayashree, would you want to add something?
Sure. I mean, as Nagadarshini mentioned, that I was clueless too when I started my career just out of placements, right? But I mean, one thing that I did was I waited quite a bit. Because I didn't, I was trying to explore different career options, and I wasn't sure whether I can actually crack an MBA at IIM, to be frank. But yeah, I tried. I tried to juggle between a lot of companies. I tried to juggle between multiple roles, and then this whole I discovered that there is an entire decision-making process which happens, and there are people who do that who sitting above me. I wasn't sure how that is done, and and then I did try to do a lot of certifications, and you, in a corporate world, you usually get a lot of certifications like PMP, Scrum Master, blah blah blah. So in spite of doing certification, I was nowhere hitting there, because whenever I used to prepare a project and go to the finance guy, they used to just always reject it. So that was my trigger to actually see what's really that how do you make the decision, and how do you look at something from 360-degree view, where you look at things at every angle, you try to understand, and what is it you'll be able to deliver. I mean, you can have a brilliant technological idea, but then how is it going to perform in the market? And that is something that you really need to analyze deeper, and that is something that I was trying to understand, which definitely I wasn't able to understand being in corporate, unless you have some basic knowledge. And I think that's what an MBA gives you. It gives you a soft landing for you with lots of frameworks. I mean, I'm sure Nagadarshini can relate to it. A lot of frameworks, lot of forecast for buckets where they just teach you about what all is possibility, what all can go wrong, what all can go right. So it gives you a good picture of everything. So that's why you should do an MBA. I mean, that's what I learned when I wanted to start an MBA, and that's why 8 years, 9 years down the lane, I started giving my cat. I took 2 attempts to do. I'm shamelessly, openly accepting it, and it did take a lot of effort to do that with a good break, but it turned out to be really well for me. So yeah, so post that, I being a product manager today, I know how to launch a product much better. I know how to run a product for much better. I know how I can look at the life cycle of a product and the future state, north stars, etc. So those are really visionary things that you're talking about. And when you look at how a CEO decides something, I can actually relate to it today. So that's what you should do an MBA for, in my view.
Okay. Okay. Nice. So the first thing will definitely be, let's say many people here would generally be not that much aware of how the outside institutions work, right? Many of them, or including me for that matter, we have just seen UVC or maybe a couple of other institutes where we go for some events or workshops, that's it. So because we have specifically spoke about MBA at IIM, what I would want both of you to, let's say, share some thoughts is about how does IIMB or how does IIM Indore specifically kind of operate, and what is the culture there, and etc. That might, like say, give a little bit more insight to everyone. So, Jayashree, would you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, this one thing that I always, completely saw something different, because even me being just from UVC, I mean, I'm not say just from, sorry, it's the wrong word, but me being, UVC is the only college that I had exposure to, but moving into IIM Bangalore was really different. I mean, first of all, the process of getting it in itself, I'm sure we'll cover that in future in some time, but post the process as such, once we have got into the college, there's a lot of cultural difference. There's a lot of openness around, so even today, I just have to, I just, I was just traveling, I just met someone and I found out he was wearing an IMB t-shirt, and I'm like, hey, hi, are you from which batch? And we just hit it off. So that there's a community kind of a culture which is there, which is very, very, vast. The networking is very huge. And I'm sure we would do that even with a UVC student, but this is a lot more open in my view. So that's one culture that I really admire, and the people are always open to help you. To be frank, after my MBA, placements were there, but apart, I wasn't very happy with my placement offers. I was trying outside because I came with almost 10 years of experience at the time of giving my, interviews. So I didn't want to go back to a role where they were, to be frank, salary wise, it was not the same. I mean, it was almost the same, or maybe 2-3 lakhs difference. And I wasn't very happy about it. But then there were alums, I don't even know them. They just had, I just put it in some, we have some WhatsApp groups, some Telegram groups, some, LinkedIn groups, etc. I just posted my resume open-ended, and I got close to 1,000 referrals, and I had like 5 of us in hand when I was just finishing the college. So that's how strong the network is. That's how open-minded they are. They're very active. They're very, very active in all social media platforms. It's like we have a group for travel and management. You want to go to a place, you can just ping things up people and ask which is a good hotel here, and people can give you anything that you want. We have, I mean, food. You can ask people where to eat good food. They're ready to tell you. And there's a lot of community behavior that is formed, and I think that's a very good thing to connect with. And it is not just with respect to IIMB. There is an entire IIM community, IIT IIM community that we are all part of mostly, where we connect with anyone from any IIMs, irrespective of it being BA, BC, Indore, Lucknow, anything. So that's an openness, and that's how it works. Apart from the culture, I think the college in itself works very differently. Like we said, you were talking about the deans, and you have each branch is having something. So here also each department Each department or each course has a department in its own. They run as a different organization altogether. If you're familiar with the corporate terms, right? They run as an organization as such. You have a dean, you have senior professors, you have junior professors, you have teaching assistants, and everybody. And each one competes with each other. That's the best part, each in PGPM with PGP and all those things. Each one competes with each other in a healthy way, where we have good competition to see how better you get, how many papers you write. I mean, it doesn't matter about what is the placements that you got through, what's the package. That's like the last thing that they worry about. It's more about how many papers you have done, how many researches you have done, how many innovations you have brought in. So those kind of culture comes in. So research becomes your, it kind of comes inbuilt to you. So finding gap analysis becomes a default skill for you once you're out of here. So these are the kind of things that I cherish the most from IIM.
Okay. So Nagadarshini, would you like to add something?
Completely agree with the network part. Ever helpful people, and you can ask any kind of help. They're always there, and nobody needs to know each other. You just from knowing that you're from another college or anything is sufficient. And speaking from the college perspective, what was a big surprise to me was the people there. So they have come from IITs and other colleges, other engineering colleges, and some of them, their academic profiles are really good, who've done awesome work in engineering, have had awesome placements. You get to meet all sort of people, starting from your intellectuals to your creative people. There's a whole spectrum of people that you get to meet in just one batch. And also, even in the classes, so the format is very different. So it's normally like a case-based approach that they take while they teach in classes. And so you're expected to study a case, get your facts right, and come and discuss it in the next day. So a lot of times you are surprised by the perspective that people bring in. Like it could be from their personal life, previous jobs, or it could be anything. And sometimes it is just so out of box that it's like unimaginable. People can be so creative and so innovative about the kind of suggestions that they're putting out there, or it could be about the the quality of answers that they're giving. So that way you get to meet a very nice set of people and very wide category of people, and kind of broadens your mind a lot. So even when you're competing for the placements, you it's a very I wouldn't say healthy, but it's extremely competitive, the environment as such. But you always have some sort of a takeaway from every interaction that you get on the campus. So that was sort of a big surprise for me. And I think Indore is one of the biggest batch size. We have about 450 people in PGP and etc. More people in IPM, and overall we're about 750 people. Huge batch, and I think that's a very big takeaway from IIMs. The network that you build, it helps you a lot more than the knowledge that you get from there as well. Yeah.
Okay. So just because this came up, before we jump into the question of about say the CAT and etc. Nagadarshini, because you were also the placement coordinator at UVCE, and when you say became part of IIM Indore, so the placements related thing, maybe you could just give a little bit more insight into it.
Sure. Okay. So it's quite different from the way we handle it at UVCE. It is sort of a day process. So and the summer placements. So there are two placements that happen in IIMs. One is your summer placement, which you are required to do between your first and second year. But the recruitment for it begins right after your first semester. So talking from a college perspective, I'm sure Jayashree will also relate. So the first semester is the hardest, is what most of the people feel, because you are entering a new life, you're adjusting to new people and new courses and everything. And along with that, you start your summer prep on the first day. So your prep com, so there is a committee which helps you prepare, which is mostly consists of the PGP2s. So they help you prepare with your GDs, with your form filling. So there are a lot of extensive process. Every company process is different. You're asked to fill up certain questionnaires. Some of them ask you to make a video presentation of yourself, a video resume. So one company had asked us to prepare anything that you can use to market yourself. It could be a brochure, a magazine cover, a video presentation, a news article. So there are points for creativity there. How well you can articulate about yourself. What do you think about yourself? And so there are various processes like that. And seniors help a lot in this process. They take time to prep us at night. So morning you have your classes, you have your surprise quizzes, your exams, and everything going in parallel. And evening is when you're preparing for your placements. So that first semester is always the hardest. And then come your summer placement. So it's a day process. So it's sort of a, like, it's a very cutthroat process. And companies start coming and start their interview process from 3:30 in the morning. I think that was our first process. So you're expected to be in suit. You're expected to be tip top ready with your resume and your so resumes are again the Placecom helps you prepare your resume. You're required to have proof for every point. So I know we don't follow that process in UVCE, but for every point that you put on your resume, you need to have a hard proof, either corroborated by your recruiter or your college, and only then it gets put on your resume. So the Placecom and Prepcom and the senior batch takes responsibility of doing all these verifications, and then you only get to carry your resume to your interview. And in the summer placement, so it starts from 3:30 in the morning, and they will call you based on their preference. So based on your resume, they'll have a preference order and everything. You are called for the interview. Multiple processes are ongoing at the same time. So it's always a one offer out policy. The first offer that you get offered, you're out of the process. But yeah, the process becomes quite hectic. And then, you're running around to different places. You're being called at different places. So yeah, day zero is very hectic. There is day zero, day one, and day two, where most of the batch gets placed. And then it goes on subsequently until the entire batch is placed. But these 3 days normally are the most action-packed days in the placement process. Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, because one of the reasons I asked that was because many of the people who have mentioned, like say in the third or the fourth years who have mentioned, they would like say that placements is definitely something they've also asked in the questionnaire and in the registration that we spoke. So, okay, maybe we'll jump to the next question, Jayashree, about, I know that when you mentioned, like say, after, like say, work experience of 9 years, you took the CAT and etc. But irrespective of that, like say, applying for that and how do you prepare for that, I think that will definitely be the same, irrespective of how many years of experience you have. So studying and preparing about that and about the CAT, if you can just give some idea, that would be really great.
I'm going to break the bubble here. It is no easy task there, and there is no shortcut for it, to be frank. Okay. You have to prepare for it. You have a proper set syllabus. You have math, you have English, and each one has your, cut off what comes. And the marks that you can get is how many questions would come from what kind of topics. That's all. So, you have to prepare. There is no other way. To be frank, like I said, I had a solid 8-9 years of break from studying as such. Yeah, I did have some certification experience, study and all, but that's completely different from preparing for a CAT. So you need to keep giving mock-ups. You need to, you first start preparing. If you're comfortable, you can go to any of these institutions. But again, that's not gonna. It's just they're going to give you a structure, but you have to follow the process. That's the only way. I'm sure Nagadarshini can help me here, because there's no other shortcut. I tried, to be frank. It was not my, after 8 years I decided to do an MBA. Just after 2 years in 12 or 13 I did try. I didn't crack CAT, and I was working and I was trying, and things were like that, but it didn't work out for me, to be frank. So after 8 years I took a 3 to 4 months sabbatic. It didn't work in 2018. In 2019, I quit my job from Unilever. I moved to Dubai with my husband. I had an opportunity to just do some freelancing. While I was freelancing, I was preparing hardcore for the exam, and I managed to crack. So, and it's not just about the exam. You have, writing ability test, you have group discussion, everything, and then interview process. And the interview process was the toughest for me, at least, because GD, luckily I managed to get a decent topic. I tried about all current affairs, and I got a very easy topic, so I was lucky there. But yeah, interview, it was nothing lucky. And to be frank, they are real market leaders who are interviewing you. It's not just the college professors or so. You have one professor from your department that you're trying to apply for. You have a You have a dean kind of a person from any department. You have an alumni. You have an immediate alumni. You have a 10 years alumni. You have a 5 years alumni. So you basically have 6 to 7 people interviewing one person. It's just like, I don't know, in UVC days, they used to call it stress interview. Very similar to that process. You have 6 people sitting in front of you, questioning you, rapid fire, but they don't go beyond your boundaries. If you've put something on your resume, that's exactly what they talk about. So if you say that you've been working in my case, I was working with Unilever, or I was working as a freelancer. They asked me, what are you freelance about? I was an SAP consultant. And like, what is SAP? And they know. You don't. It's not that they don't know. I have no idea how they know anything. You talk about anything, they can relate to you. They can dive deep, or maybe that's how they set the panel. You have sent your resume well in advance, right? So they set the panel where at least one person knows what exactly you're talking about with respect to work, maybe with respect to college. I did mention about UVC as well, and there was one person sitting right from UVC there. He was like talking to me about, um, he was again a UVC as an and an IIM alumni, and he was also asking me which professor, what did he do. I was like, oh, 8 years after college, I forgot names of the professors. It was bad. I came out of the interview with tears, thinking that this is not happening this time, but somehow I managed to clear. I am open to be vulnerable here. It's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to feel like you're going to miss out, but I'm sure if you put in the hard works, you can definitely get through it. And you have to put hard works. There's no shortcut to it. So I mean, we can give you, I mean, you can reach out to us. We can give you on how you can write SOP, some kind of guidance on that, because each SOP has to be individual. It has to connect to you. You should be in a position to be passionately talking about it. You can't just randomly, there are many companies who can write SOPs for you. I don't think it works. I mean, they might tell like 5 people would have got through, 10 people got through, but either the person themselves did a good job, or I mean, somebody else cannot write an SOP for you outright. Right, you have to write it for yourself. You need to really give in. It has to connect to you. It's like, what's your passion, where you started, how you started, where you were getting, where are you right now, and where do you want to get? Because at least for me, I had 8 years experience, not 1 or 2 years where I did have much. It was more of, I had 8 years to talk about, and I had to tell why I did what. And I did accept many places that I've done wrong, decisions, and some places I have taken up the right decisions, etc. So those are the things that you have to really concentrate on before you prepare for the interview process and stuff like that.
Okay. So Nagadarshini, do you want to add something for this preparation part?
But yeah, be very cognizant of the current affairs. They can ask you anything, any country, any election, any leader. So make sure you're reading every day, and then you're up to you're up to date with the news, and it matters a lot. It will help you even in your summer placement. So the GDs will be centered around these kind of topics. It could be about the economy, or it could be the financial situation in the world. They could just pick up a random topic, alter it a bit. So if you know these talking points, it will help you in your argument or the case that you're presenting. Sometimes there'll be case studies also. The more you know, the better. So yeah, please keep up to date with your current affairs, and make sure you're reading the papers like Economic Times and all properly, and just keep yourself updated.
No Times of India, only Economic Times.
About the point that was made about the SOP, I think what I would want to say from my side is, from UVCEGA, we will try to work around that a little bit. Even the last time when we mentioned, like say, when we had the session 1 about the MS opportunities in US, right? Even both of them mentioned the exact same point. Like say, when you're applying for, like say, universities, the SOP is the most important thing. So we will definitely work on that. There should be something so that people who want to know what is right, or whether this is the right way of putting it across, they can reach to someone like you, who can actually give them some pointers, some tips, which will kind of help them. So this is something that I'm making a note of. We will definitely see what can be done about it.
Sure. Just to add a point there, it need not only be about your academic achievements. There are people who have gotten into IIMs based on their knowledge of music, or sometimes even movies. So it's about how passionate you are about any topic, whatever you're putting down on your resume or on your SOP. If the person who's sitting across from you is able to gauge your passion or resonate with you on that, it will certainly help. So yeah, I mean, like Jayashree said, right? It's all about you as a person and what you're putting out. The format, the language can be refined, but at the end of the day, it's all you.
Yeah, it's about how you want to market yourself. That's it. It's like, as a person. So to be frank, none of the IIMs look for people who have extraordinarily performed in academics. I mean, otherwise you don't clear CAT. Okay, simple. So they don't care beyond. Once you've cracked CAT, they don't really care about what you've done. It's pretty much, how passionate you can get at any topic, irrespective of you love cooking. Go ahead, go bonkers one pages about cooking. They don't care. They can talk to you. They can tell you. They will ask you a recipe of maybe some Italian dish or a Korean dish. You will never know. they're like that. So I mean, it's about what you want to really, how you connect with something, and how passionate are you about something. That's something that should come out.
Jayashree, like you said, right, the people on the panel are knowledgeable enough. So if you try to fake it, it doesn't work a lot of times. And sometimes
Exactly. I mean, if you're able to connect, go ahead. You can write anything about it. If you don't, please don't even mention a word about it. Exactly. So you like I said, if you like cooking, you better know cooking before you talk. You can't just say I make dal at home and I say cooking is my passion. No, sorry, not happening. You should be more like, you should be really passionate about what are the different types of cuisines available. How do you manage? How much does a chef earn per month? I mean, these are blatant questions you're going to get.
Yeah. So expect anything that way.
Okay. So I'll just start off with a couple of questions that we had got during the like say registration, right? Like say open for both of you. You can like say take turns and answer. So first one, I think both of you will definitely be will have a different kind of point of views and etc. That is doing MBA immediately or like say maybe quickly after the graduation or with some experience, whatever the work experience can be, but what would you suggest is one of the questions that has come up.
Personally, I took a break of 3 years. I mean, I was working, so I took 3 years to think about MBA. And the reason I had in mind was that initially I just wanted to see how a work, a corporate culture is, or maybe before, this is again my personal opinion, and I'll tell you the other side of the story as well. So I thought that before I move into something called management, I should basically know at least what consists of the ground floor. So that was my thought process when I first waited for 3 years. And after 3 years, I was considering GR. I mean, I thought of writing CAT, and if that didn't work for me, I would have considered GRE as my option too. But yeah, things worked out. So that was my initial thought process. But when I went on campus, there is sort of a 40-60, I would say, Jayashree, please feel free to correct me here, 40-60 sort of a split between freshers versus the experienced people. And the experienced people, again, there are 1, 2, 3, and 3 plus is sort of the bucket. So when you look at it from a placement point of view, freshers are preferred in terms of sales jobs or entry-level finance jobs. And there are a lot of opportunities for freshers and 1 or 2 year experienced people in the summer internship. So they don't look for people with more experience in the summer internship because it's a 2-month job, a short job. But in final, as we move towards the final placements, this kind of becomes ulta, if I can put it that way. People look for people with more years of experience. There are different kinds of profile, middle management level profile, and not just entry profiles. And towards final placement, the sales and the finance job reduce a bit because they prefer to offer PPOs and take people from summer internship. But a lot of the IT management jobs or the middle management, general management, operation job, they all come towards final placement. So personal opinion, I think it's good to have some experience before you do an MBA. But there are people who have joined as freshers and are doing great today. I have some friends who joined as freshers and are doing very well. So yeah, personal opinion, I think it's better to have some experience.
I would agree. I mean, I would agree with Nagashi because, I mean, experience plays a real important role. To be frank, summer internship, it was a bad thing for me because I never got a summer internship. I did, but I did continue with my management consulting, freelancing and all that stuff, right? So that was not a big deal for me because once you are at a good experience, I think finding some project for 2 months is sure be a great deal. But after that, the kind of roles that you get, like I said, the placements also were not able to help me. They were like, there are a lot of opportunities for freshers, of course, but when you have a lot of experience, there are better opportunities. I mean, they're less in number, but the reach is high. So that's my personal opinion. Definitely experience makes good sense. 3 to 5 years on an average is really good. More than that, yes, it is good. You can reach further, but you need to have the patience. I mean, I had the patience. It takes some time, not as easy as a fresher or someone with 3 to 5 years experience getting a job. It's going to take a little more time, but you will get, like I said, I came out with 5 options as a job, right? So it takes it. I was the last person to get my first offer, but I came out with the maximum number of offers. So that's the difference that you can look into. So I mean, depend, and also please look at your personal, each person, like where you stand. Are you stagnated at the job that you're taking? Are you really able to get some exposure with respect to the corporate world? Are you just performing tasks or solving some tickets? It depends on all those things. So it also depends on what kind of experience you're taking. You can't just sit and pick some basic where you're not learning much, but still uh, that won't count as experience. And then you get filtered out at the initial stage of interview process itself. So be cognizant about what's the kind of experience you're gaining, and you should have a wide variety. I mean, variety is something that in my view IIM loves. The more you offer them in the plate, the better chances you have.
Yeah.
So, Jayashree, maybe like say one question. I think some of the couple of the recent graduates had put up was the difference between the regular MBA and an executive MBA. You would have seen like say that in your like say.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit touch on that would help.
Yeah. See, like I said, see, regular MBA, like how Nagadarshini was mentioning, right? You have a set process, and executive has the same set process, same set of process with a little more reach. See, one major difference, like I found, is there is a 40-60 difference, but when it comes to executive MBA, there is an 80-20 percentage difference. You have 80% of people sitting with very great experiences, and 20% of people with 6 to 8 years of experience. They're actually less in the executive MBA course. And also, I had a person next to me sitting, his name, I mean, SK, and he was the EVP of Jubilant Systems. I was like, I even asked him, why the hell are you coming to do an MBA at this point? What more do you want in life? So you get to hear that kind of perspective from executive MBA. And also I mean, I don't think you have anything lesser, but you have more to offer. But it's like I said, there are a couple of things that you have to shell out before you get to this point. That's the only addition when you have to get in. You need to have more experience. You can't just have 3 years. Minimum, I think, is 5 or 6 years.
4 or yeah, maybe 5.
5 or 6, yeah, 5 or 6 at least when I joined. So you need to have that experience, like I said, and variety is something that is always looked forward. Like you should have done many things. You should have tried. It's okay when if you've succeeded or failed, it doesn't matter, but you should have tried. So those are the things that they look forward to get in, and what you get in return is out of the box, out of the world thinking. Box is different for me, because the way they I mean, like I said, EVP is sitting and solving a Deccan Air case. Why Deccan Air failed? you know he's like, I mean, I was believing personally that if say, Deccan Air was coming to us in our class to ask questions, he might have probably survived. So that's the kind of thoughts that you get. So those are the good things about both aspects, but you have to be really patient with respect to your placements if you're joining after more than 5 years of experience. But the network is going to take you places. You don't have to worry if you are not placed during your placement times, or you're not placed during your MBA right outside, but you have to keep trying. That's the only difference. I know there is a lot. I mean, I just passed out last year, but I have classmates who have still not placed in many cases. They're still continuing to do their work, what they did, join back their organizations. But I know that they haven't tried enough.
Okay.
But you do. There are people who try and have reached much more places. I know there are 3 people who were already joined as VPs because they had almost 20 years of experience before joining, and they were not getting anywhere beyond middle management, and they just joined as VPs just after MBA. So you have all cases. It's just at how much you try.
Okay, sure. So, Nagadarshini, one last question before we jump into the audience one, right? So, basically, what are the, like, say, streams? Like, say, people can select MBA, and how should they, like, kind of select that is one of the questions that we have got multiple times.
Okay, from at least from a PGP point of view, which is a 2-year course, you have the degree you get is general management at the end of the day. From an IIM perspective, Jayashree, please feel free to add. So yeah, our degree is called as general management, and there is something called specialization, but it doesn't really matter much. So it's about trying to learn as much as possible. So your first year, all your subjects are common. There are 3 terms, and all the subjects are common for everybody. So once you have gone through that journey, you start deciding what is good for you. Where do you want to get into? Or it could be a decision based on your summer placement and your pre-placement offer, which was kind of the case for me. So I come from an IT background before, and my placement was in a general management IT sort of a setup. So I chose subjects which were close to that. So there was the analytics subject, the IT project management subject, or it could be the marketing of services as a subject. But again, so if you think you are a salesperson, or if you like the sales and marketing subject, you could take subjects which are catering to that. There could be digital marketing, or there could be sales as a service, or multiple subjects like that. Or if you think finance is your cup of tea, then again you go opt for the finance subject. So that's a decision that you get to make after the first year, where you want to specialize. So I think the first year foundation helps a lot in that. And also your summer placement plays some part.
Yeah, I mean, this is one question that I was also, trying. I was also trying to figure out until I finished MBA. You don't have anything called specialization in IIMs, at least. There are. I've heard some colleges which say, "Oh, MBA in marketing, MBA in sales, blah blah blah." No, that doesn't work that way. Like Nagadarshini mentioned, you have general first 4 semesters. You have general core courses, they are called. So you will be introduced to every aspect of management across, again, 360-degree view, and you pick it up from there and your personal interest, and you choose courses in the second year. Simple. You have a bidding process. Okay, they give you some 1,000 points. I'm sure the smile in us, the how that bidding process was, right? It is really tough. Basically, you're given some points, you use your bidding, you try to bid for courses. So there are really high selling courses, high professors with mind blowing classes. So you bid for those classes, you managed to cross the bid, you get into those courses. So you have to be very smart. You're on your own. Nobody is going to guide you on anything. You can definitely reach to people to find out what is good, what is not good, where you stand, and professors are like open to you. They want to sit next to you, have a beer and talk to you, really. But you're on your own. Nobody is telling you do this, do that, but you can get people to help you out, and you can do anything.
There was one instance. So there was this one subject by one prof which was going for such high bidding that out of the 1,000 people managed to give 950 points to the subject. Yeah, and then give 10 points to all the other subjects. And
I bid all my 1,000 points at one course. It was on management lessons from Bhagavad Gita or something. Oh, it was an interesting course, and bid was so high. I put all in, and I took that one semester. I took all free 0-point courses, and that's the only course that I managed to pick from the bid. So
there's a lot of flexibility in terms of that as well, right? So you are expected to complete X amount of credits over 3 terms. So you can choose to do it however you want. There's a minimum. So like they say 10 credits or something. So you have to opt for subjects worth of 10 credits, or if you want to do more, you can finish a bulk of it in your 6th semester, in your 4th term, sorry. And then the 5th and 6th term, you can keep it light if you want to concentrate for your placements, or if you're going on an exchange program and you want to compensate there. There is like a lot of liberty to shape your second year, or shape your studies the way you want, shape your year the way you want, or there's a lot of flexibility, and there is help, but there is no sort of an imposition or anything. You are free to do what is right for you. You are the person.
You are your decision maker. I mean, pretty much like UVC. UVC, you're on your own. If you can do something good for you. You don't, you can do that. Similarly, everything is on your own, but you have good guidance across.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, what we will do is, like, say, I'll stop the recording because whatever the major chunk of the questions from the registrations and everything were there, that is taken care. So, like, say, before I start off with the questions that is there in the chat, first of all, like, say, thanks for, like, say, this, because it will be a proper ending to the video as well. So what I will definitely say is, we will, again, reiterating the same thing from the UVCE Graduates Association, will try to make sure that at this moment, as like say when you both were mentioning about the IIM network and etc., what we like say kind of hear about it, maybe we are not yet there, but that is something like say aspiring that we want to at the end of the day. We definitely want to make sure that from UVCE Graduates Association we connect the alumni, we connect the students and try to see how we can help them and etc. Okay, so thanks for that. So I'll stop the recording and then start with the questions in the chat. So just one second.